Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. E. Sivanagi, former Director, National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, and currently working as CEO, the Cultural Center of Vijayawada. Let us discuss today on the module called Archaeological Tourism in India as part of the paper Indian Tourism. You all know that India has been bestowed with a good number of archaeological sites right from the Indus Valley civilization up to the late medieval period. Most of the people who visit India would like first to visit one archaeological site or a historical monument or a museum or an art gallery. All these things come under one category called archaeological tourism. Sometimes when the officials of the Archaeological Survey of India and state departments will be conducting excavations at an Iron Age site, at a Neolithic site or at an early historic site, those incidents will attract huge number of crowds right from the visitors to the students and research scholars to know what exactly is happening at the site while digging the past, how the archaeologists will retrieve the antiquities, the objects that reflect the historical past of a particular region or India. Archaeological tourism has been a niche tourism that has been very much popular worldwide. You go to London, most of the people would like to visit Stonehenge, and most of the people who visit Sri Lanka would like to visit Jetavana Vihara, Abhayagiri Vihara, Anuradhapura. These are some of the examples that I would like to cite in this context. The learning objectives of the module include knowing what an archaeological site is and administration of archaeological sites in India, and the significance of archaeological tourism, major archaeological sites in India and their significance as far as archaeological tourism is concerned. Archaeological sites and historical places act as major tourist attractions worldwide. During the past few years, visits to historical sites have ranked among top 5 worldwide tourist destinations. The number of people who visit archaeological sites rise every year and have significant impact on the local community. Archaeological sites are an integral part of country's historical and cultural heritage. Sites consisting of artifacts and features that are associated with one or the other historical events. The archaeological sites as tourist attractions yield a good revenue to the country that they are located in. Archaeological sites are fragile resources, and inadequate site management will result in deterioration or even destruction of the site and its social, historical, educational, and economic potential. Archaeological tourism can be explained as travel that focuses on visiting and experiencing ancient sites and historical monuments. The motivating forces behind archaeological tourism are a passion for the past and an interest in learning about the ancient or historical cultures that inhabited the area being visited. Archaeological tourism includes visiting to museums, places of historical significance, and archaeologically focused parks, dances, festivals, and other cultural events. Archaeological tourism often incorporated into the larger fields of ecological tourism, geotourism, and heritage tourism. Many countries offer combinations of the above that allow the visitor to enjoy a region's natural and cultural wonders. There are certain benefits derived out of archaeological tourism. Archaeological tourism combines a passion for the past with a sense of adventure and discovery. Archaeological tourism lets the visitors experience the past and allows them to share in the thrill of discovery. Revenue. Tour operators, national and local governments, and communities share the revenue derived from tourism, including entrance and other taxes. Archaeological tourism also creates less quantifiable benefits such as increasing awareness of an area that may otherwise have been underappreciated as a travel destination. Increased attention can transform into income as more travelers visit the area. Community development. Increased attention to an area can strengthen the local identity as communities in the vicinity of the sites become involved and invest in the maintenance and upkeep of a site that directly benefits them. Increased tourism may lead to damage and general deterioration of the sites is one of the negative impacts of archaeological tourism. The other, incorrect and inadequate interpretation of a site detracts from the overall enjoyment for the visitors. Management of archaeological sites and monuments is an important aspect as far as the archaeological tourism is concerned. Unless until the sites are maintained well and they are upkept, otherwise people will not visit any archaeological site or monument. People just go to appreciate, to understand the ethos and values of the bygone era on seeing a site or a monument. For this particular purpose, Ministry of Tourism has established and running an institution called the Archaeological Survey of India at national level, and almost all the state governments have their own departments of archaeology or sometimes archaeology and museum under the concurrent subject. These departments will identify, explore, excavate, conserve, preserve sites and monuments and also run museums and art galleries. This is a very significant aspect as far as archaeological tourism is concerned. Unless until there are archaeological sites and monuments, we cannot promote archaeological tourism. Unless otherwise, the country should have on its priority list as far as the development of tourism is concerned. The Archaeological Survey of India, also known as the ASI, is the premier organization dedicated for the archaeological research, excavation, conservation and protection of the cultural heritage in India. Works of conservation and preservation of ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance is the primary objective under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, as mentioned earlier. It was founded in 1861 by Alexander Cunningham, the then Director General. ASI, under the provisions of the MSR Act 1958, protects the monuments and sites. ASI administers more than 3,650 ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance in India. These include forts, palaces, temples, mosques, churches, tombs, cemeteries, stepped wells, and rock-cut caves, memorials, and other built heritage in the country. You all know pretty well that Rajasthan is known as the fourth heritage state of India, wherein you have got a good number of forts built on hills, forts built on plains, forts built inside the water, and you also have good number of palaces and havelis in Rajasthan. It is known as the heritage destination of India. And other parts of India are also known for their magnificent monuments. Take, for example, a temple at Tanjore, the Brihadishwara temple at Tanjore in Tamil Nadu, which is 205 feet high, is one of the marvels in stone that India has ever produced for the first time in 11th century AD. The Sun temple at Konark, the Khajuraho temples in Madhya Pradesh, the Orcha temples in Madhya Pradesh, Modhera temple in Gujarat, and then Halebeedu, Keshava temple at Somnathpur and Belur in Karnataka, Aihole, Badame, Pattadkal, and Mahakota again in Karnataka are some of the best examples as far as temple architecture is concerned. And if you want to visit some of the rock-cut monuments of India, go to the western rock-cut cave area, that is Maharashtra. There are more than 100 rock-cut caves datable in time between the 1st century BC to the 4th century AD. And Ajanta, you all know, it is a very, very wonderful and World Heritage Site that is attracting huge number of tourist influx every day. And you also have a wonderful interpretation center just in front of the monuments that gives a preview of your visit of the World Heritage Monument. The Archaeological Survey of India has many activities that has been carrying forward, which include conducting archaeological explorations and excavations, maintenance, conservation and preservation of protected monuments, archaeological sites and remains of national importance, and chemical conservation of monuments and antiquarian remains that ultimately survive for the posterity. Architectural survey of monuments and sites. For example, only one circle that is known as the Southern Circle located in Chennai is exclusively dedicated for temple survey, and the branch at Nagpur is exclusively dedicated for conducting archaeological excavations, and Mysore is known for its own branch for epigraphical survey. Similarly, Archaeological Survey of India has 6 important branches located in different parts of the country that are enormously contributing for preservation, conservation, and publicizing the information to the many. To take up the epigraphical and numismatic studies is another aspect wherein most of the sites also yield inscriptions and coins. The study of coins is known as numismatic study, which in the absence of inscriptions benefit the archaeologist to date a site to which period it belongs. Again, setting up and reorganization of site museums in different parts of the country is another important aspect of the Archaeological Survey of India. For example, you go to Chandragiri near Tirupati, you go to Nagarjunakonda in Guntur district, again you go to Sanchi. All these places, though they are known for their historical significance, also have site museums. The local museums, the museums that are housed with artifacts retrieved from the same sites. These artifacts will definitely enhance the experience of the visitor. Oh, we have seen a monument. We have also seen the antiquarian remains that really correlate the historical significance of the site or monument. Training on the staff on different aspects of archaeology. This is very, very significant because worldwide archaeological studies gain lot of important significance. Year by year, interdisciplinary studies strengthen the archaeological research. From the West or from the other parts of the country, Archaeological Survey of India is also taking some inputs as part of the learning from others, and it will strengthen its own staff with the current researches, latest technologies and methodologies as far as archaeological excavations and preservation of monuments is concerned. Bringing out archaeological publications on different aspects of archaeological heritage is another activity of ASI. So far, more than 150 publications are brought out. To name a few, it is also running what we call a magazine, Ancient India, and again it is also bringing out an annual number called Indian Archaeology, a Review. On the other hand, there are also small booklets known like what we call Visit a Site. For example, on Sanchi, on Tanjore, on Bhimbetka, we have exclusive booklets brought out by Archaeological Survey of India. Apart from this, it also runs an annual or a periodical called Epigraphia Indica, in which the important and significant inscriptions engraved on copper plates and also on stone are edited and published through that magazine by eminent epigraphists in India, being out from Mysore. These are some of the important aspects of ASI. Now, let us go into the other aspect. What is that other aspect is very, very important. Any archaeological site or monuments, if it is left as it is, it doesn't attract many more people, because archaeological site is frequented by different age group. That is, sometimes parents will also take their children to archaeological sites. For them, we need a good landscape, a lawn, a children's play area. All these things are taken care by the Horticulture Department of Archaeological Survey of India. You visit Aihole and Badami, you have sandstone monuments that are added beauty with the green lush lawns around the monuments. So this is again a wonderful activity taken up by Archaeological Survey of India. Apart from these, the very, very important aspect of Archaeological Survey of India's activities include implementing the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958 and the Antiquarian Remains, Antiquities and Art Treasures Act 1972 very effectively and enforcingly, or otherwise we may lose the historical past for deterioration. So that we are now preserving very good number of monuments like the Red Fort at Delhi, Fatehpur Sikri at Agra, the Taj Mahal at Agra. These are very few monuments that attract world-class tourists every day, every time. Let us now visit a few of the archaeological sites and monuments that really attract exclusive tourists called special interest tourists, or the archaeological tourists, or the cultural tourists whose main emphasis is only visiting archaeological sites and monuments, not the other sites like natural sites or leisure pursuits, etc. To name a few, we can begin with the prehistoric monuments or sites known as rock shelters of Bhimbetka, located near Bhopal. These Bhimbetka caves are discovered in 1957, which comprise a group of 5 clusters of rock shelters with paintings that are inferred to date from the Mesolithic period and right through the historical period. It was inscribed as a World Heritage Site in 2003 as a unique cultural property representing a convergence displayed in the art form between the people and the landscape, with links to the hunting gathering economy of the past. The archaeological site at Archaeological is located on the outskirts of Pondicherry in southern India. Excavations were conducted by Sir Mortimer Wheeler in 1945 and John Mary Cozell between 1947 and 1950. The significant finds from the excavations retrieved include Indo-Pacific beads, then black and red ware ceramics, amphorae, Aretine ware, Roman lamps, glassware, glass and stone beads, and gems, which definitely speak volumes on the foreign trade that has been transacted between the Rome and India. And we also have got good number of megalithic evidences from the sites which continued up to the early historic phase at Archaeological. The site is well maintained, and every foreigner who visits Pondicherry or Aravalli will definitely make a visit to Archaeological. Let us now move to the Buddhist monuments at Sanchi. The Buddhist monuments at Sanchi date between the 3rd century BC and 2nd century AD. They are located very close to Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. The stupa's main glory lies in its 4 stone toranas and its hemispherical shape. It was inscribed as World Heritage Sites in 1989. You all know that the foundation of the stupa has been laid by Asoka the Great. The place is associated with the birthplace of the Queen of Asoka known as Vidisha. and the monuments that are located, the area is called as Vidishagiri. You all know that there are wonderful monuments, a good number, and you also have the stupas enshrined with the relics of Sariputta and Moggallana at Sanchi. There is also an early temple of the Gupta period and also a temple dated to 8th century AD. So, the cluster of monuments range in date between the 3rd century BC and up to 8th century AD are inscribed on the list of World Heritage Sites and Monuments. Ajanta Caves, again an enthralling natural and man-made caves. The area which is located in Maharashtra is excavated in the shape of a horseshoe. There are a good number of caves. They range in date between again 2nd century BC to 7th century AD. These caves are situated in Aurangabad districts in the state of Maharashtra. The earliest, finest examples of Buddhist paintings are located in cave number 2, cave number 9, cave number 10, etc. They are dated to the Satavahana period, that is 1st, 2nd centuries AD, and these paintings are executed on the walls, ceilings, beams and pillars. They are still today surviving as the testimonials to the artistic skills of the Satavahana era. The murals showcase scenes from the Buddha's life and from the Jataka tales. It is declared as a World Heritage Site in 1983. Ajanta caves are attracting huge number of tourists from not only India, from also the other countries from the east and west. Nagarjunakonda, also called as Sri Parvata Vijaypuri, a Buddhist site with a number of Buddhist monuments and an island museum located at Nagarjunasagar in Guntur district, Andhra Pradesh, are attracting large number of tourists. It is named after Acharya Nagarjuna, a southern Indian master philosopher and scholar of Mahayana Buddhism during the 2nd century AD. The site consists of Buddhist university and monasteries that attracted students from China, Gandhara, Bengal and Sri Lanka during 2nd century AD. If you visit Nagarjunasagar, the greatest and largest masonry dam in entire Indian context, you have to take a boat ride for 40 minutes and reach the island museum. The island museum, constructed on the plan of a Buddhist vihara, houses good number of Buddhist sculptures, inscriptions, antiquities range in date from the prehistoric times up to the late medieval period. Inside the museum, you have got two important Buddhist sculptures. One is the life-size image of the Buddha, so beautiful, calm, which represents the 32 Mahapurusha Lakshanas. Another sculpture inside the island museum is Mother Goddess, known for a unique sculpture as far as the Mother Goddess cult is concerned, and it bears an inscription that Avidhavaya Jiva Putaya, that the local women folk have prayed the goddess that they should be bestowed with longevity not only for themselves but for their husbands and their sons to survive without any death. This is a very unique inscription that is found from Nagarjunakonda. Then outside the museum, you have a good number of monuments ranging in date from the megalithic period. You have a megalithic monument known as the megalithic circle, encircled with huge boulders in the shape of a circle, inside which there is also a capstone, and this is a reconstructed monument from the Nagarjunakonda valley, which is transplanted on to the Nagarjunakonda. You have another monument called Simhala Vihara, but Simhala Vihara consists of two types of chaityas. One is Buddha chaitya and opposite to it is Stupa chaitya. You also have another monument called as the Maha Chaitya, in which the holy relics of Lord Buddha were enshrined. Similarly, you also have a Jain temple datable to the medieval period located on Nagarjunakonda itself. So, this all gives a wonderful impression on the historical past of the Andhras, range in date from the prehistoric times up to the medieval period. At the right entrance, as soon as you got down from the boat, you come across a beautiful pavilion and a fortification datable to the Reddy period, that is the 14th century AD. So, a ride from Nagarjuna Dam up to the island is a thrilling experience, and on the island it is again a thrilling experience, and you will really go to the historical past and enjoy the vicissitudes of the history of Andhra people. The area was ruled by the Ikshvakus in 3rd, 4th centuries AD. Moving to Odisha, there is again a wonderful monument called Ratnagiri, is a Buddhist site wherein you have got beautiful monasteries and Buddha sculptures. The Buddhist diamond triangle in Odisha comprising two other sites named Lalitagiri and Udaygiri apart from Ratnagiri. These three are called as Buddhist diamond circuit. Situated atop a flat hillock sandwiched between the rivers Brahmani and Birupa. And the site consists of a stupa, monastic complex, Buddhist shrines, votive stupas, myriad of sculptures, architectural fragments, and other antiquities that take you back to the early medieval times. These are some of the sculptures that were retrieved from the site. You can see good number of sculptures and a beautiful face of the Buddha, and then you also have got Bodhisattva Padmapani and also Tara, etc. These represent what we call the Vajrayana phase of Buddhism in Odisha, and the temples which are decorated very richly on the door frames and the walls, sometimes the visitors may mislead that it belongs to a Hindu temple. No, it is not at all a Hindu temple, but it is a Buddhist shrine. But adopting the Hindu Vastu principles for constructing such a beautiful monument, don't miss if you are located sometime or visit sometime in your lifetime in Odisha without visiting Ratnagiri, Lalitagiri and Udaygiri, your trip will not be fulfilled. Ellora Caves, as the name itself blinks in the minds of the art lovers and cultural tourists, are located near Aurangabad in Maharashtra. These monuments range in date from 680 to 1000 AD and represent three great religions, namely Buddhism, Hinduism and Jainism. The most popular and the finest of the Ellora group of rock-cut cave temples is the magnificent Kailasanatha temple, which is inscribed as World Heritage Site in 1983. Again in Orissa, you have one more beautiful marvel in stone that is known as the Sun Temple, located at Konarka, which was built in 13th century AD. It is also known as the Black Pagoda, built in the form of a chariot of Surya with 24 wheels led by a team of 6 horses on either side. The temple is one of the most renowned temples in India and is a World Heritage Site inscribed in 1984. Every day hundreds of foreigners, apart from the domestic tourists, flock around the monuments appreciating, and sometimes they will forget their location, whether they are at Konarka or somewhere else. That is the magnitude and beatitude of such a beautiful monument called Konark. Again, a wonder in stone. Champaner and Pavgada, there is an archaeological park. For the first time in Indian context, an archaeological park is developed in full extent. It is situated in Panchmahal district, Gujarat, and inscribed in the year 2004 as World Heritage Site by UNESCO. This is studded with a good number of temples, palaces, tombs, and forts with bastions starting from Pavgada Hill to Champaner city. Both Hindu and Islamic architecture can be observed here. If you are located in Champaner or Pavgad, you can please appreciate the way in which these monuments are maintained by Archaeological Survey of India. Delhi, the capital city of India, is studded with a good number of heritage sites and monuments. We can cite Qutub Minar and its monuments as the best example for heritage lovers. The Qutub complex is an array of monuments and buildings located inside Delhi. The Qutub Minar is the tallest minaret in the world. Inspired by the minaret of Jam in Afghanistan, the construction was started in the year 1200 AD. The iron pillar located inside the complex is one of the world's foremost metallurgical curiosities. The pillar, 7.21 meters high and weighing more than 6 tons, was originally erected by Chandragupta II, also known as Vikramaditya. It is inscribed in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites list in the year 1993. Gujarat, also known for wonderful monuments in stone. Rani Ki Vav, the Queen's Stepwell, is a marvel itself. When you are close to Ahmedabad, don't miss to see it. Intricately constructed stepwell situated in Patan, Gujarat, is located on the banks of the river Saraswati, was initially built as a memorial to a king in 11th century AD. Designed as an inverted temple highlighting the sanctity of water, it is divided into 7 levels of stairs with sculptural panels of high artistic quality with more than 500 sculptures. In 2014, it is listed as World Heritage Site by UNESCO. You can see varieties of moldings studded with sculptures and intricate designs, and the exuberant artistic talent is visible and a testimonial for the Gujarati sculptors and artists of 11th century AD. The group of monuments at Hampi are very important monuments as far as South Indian temple architecture is concerned. Hampi, also known as the Vijayanagar, which served as the capital city of a great empire called the Vijayanagar Empire. As we remember in history, Vijayanagara Empire, a monarch or an emperor called Krishnadevaraya, also known as Andhra Bhoja, he has constructed good number of temples and also monuments. Hampi is situated on the southern bank of the river Tungabhadra river in Karnataka state. Hampi was the capital city of 3 generations of the Hindu rulers for more than 200 years and the last capital of the last great Hindu kingdom of Vijayanagar. The group of monuments include rich Dravidian temples, palaces, which won the admiration of travelers who visited the site between 14th and 16th centuries AD. It is declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in the year 1986. UNESCO has initiated a project called Hampi Resurgence Project, wherein experts, archaeologists, conservationists from all over the world have taken part in this resurgence project, and scientific explorations carried out there revealed the site was in existence by 1st century AD. As we have collected a good number of Brahmi inscriptions datable to 1st century AD, the pottery and other remains, structural remains datable to the early centuries of Christian era. Next to the early historic phase, we have got the beautiful monuments built by the Vijayanagara kings and emperors between 14th to 16th century AD. To name a few, the Krishna temple, the Vithala temple, the chariot, the Hajararama temple, the Navami Dibba, and the bazaar where diamonds were sold on a very large scale. Most of the foreigners were struck wonder on seeing the market with international trade goods. That was the glory of Hampi Vijayanagara, which was chronicled by the foreign travelers, namely Nunes, Domingo Pace, and some other Italian traveler writers. Hill forts of Rajasthan. You all know that Rajasthan is known for hill forts, water bodies, palaces, and other heritage structures like Hawa Mahal, etc. Within the state of Rajasthan, there are 6 extensive and majestic hill forts which reflect the elaborate fortified seats of power of Rajput states flourished between 8th and 18th centuries AD. There are 6 forts that are situated at Chittorgarh, Kumbhalgarh, Savai Madhopur, Jhalawar, Jaipur, and Jaisalmer. The forts are built using the natural defenses offered by the landscapes such as hills, deserts, rivers, and dense forests. They also feature extensive water harvesting structures still in use even today. In 2013, UNESCO declared them as World Heritage Sites. To sum up, archaeological tourism encompasses visiting historical sites, archaeological remains, museums, art galleries that reflect the culture's historical past and glory. In India, we have got a good number of archaeological sites range in date between the prehistoric times, that is at least 12,000 years BC up to the 18th century AD. As we have examined in this module, Bhimbetka serves as the first and foremost earliest datable rock art site in India, and the last we can cite as the hill forts of Rajasthan. In between, you have got a good number of monuments and sites studied in the length and breadth of India, which serve as the major tourism destinations for cultural tourists who visit India and also for the domestic tourists. To maintain all these historical sites and monuments, it is very important that the contribution of an organization called Archaeological Survey of India and the state respective archaeological departments in upkeeping these monuments and maintaining according to the world-class standards. Unless otherwise, we will be failing in our duty in attracting tourists from all over the world. To finally conclude, I suggest the students, whenever you are in a city or a town away from your place of residence, make a point that don't miss to visit an archaeological site like Archaeological when you are in Pondicherry, or Bhimbetka if you are very close to Bhopal, or Buddhist site like Nagarjunakonda if you are sometime in Andhra Pradesh, or Charminar if you are located in Hyderabad. If you go to Tamil Nadu, don't miss to visit the greatest temple called the Bahudeswara temple at Tanjore, or the Meenakshi temple at Madura, or the Shiva temple at Chidambaram. These are a few examples to cite in this context. Last but not the least, these archaeological sites and monuments contribute to generate a lot of revenue and also employment for the local tourist guides and also service providers, and indirectly promoting the development of tourism in India. This is the significance of archaeological tourism as far as this particular module is concerned.